Welcome to Coach Business, the podcast. I'm your host, and today we have a beautiful guest who's here to talk about a topic that is probably near all of our hearts, but maybe not so dear to our hearts. Sara, can you tell everyone what it is you do?
I am a coach for women who want to stop people pleasing. They know it's a problem. It's fucking up their lives. Uh,
All good.
um, but they don't know how to not do it.
It's so it's not this is a hard word for me, integral to our lives, but it's so foundational to our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a really good reason for that.
Say more.
Whoever decided that our human existence would work this way decided that babies would come into the world in a completely helpless state. And a baby's only job is to survive. And they do that by winning the care of bigger, more capable people.
Mm-hmm.
And so that survival instinct is what they come with. And how they manifest that is by crying. So they cry. And ideally, someone comes and changes their diaper, snuggles them, feeds them, helps them settle and go to sleep. And those are the things that they need for survival. And so before a baby even has the concept of being a separate human being, they get this rhythm of like, okay, I cry and something happens. And then I smile. Have you ever been in a room when a baby smiles?
Mm-hmm. Everybody smiles.
Yeah, the adults go nuts, right? Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, she's smiling, she's smiling. And baby's like, oh, they like that. And
Mm-hmm.
because my only job is to win their care, I smile, they smile. It becomes this really beautiful, collaborative,
Important.
experience. Important because that's how baby gets what it needs.
Mm-hmm.
And then baby is getting bigger. And then they start to realize, oh, there's the opposite side of that coin. There's also things they don't like. These big people that I need, they don't like it. I remember being in a situation with my daughter. She, was doing the thing babies do when they start learning about their hands and how they move. And she slapped me. And I grabbed her hand and I said, no. And I pushed her body away from mine. And what did she do? Dissolved into tears, right? Because she had been punished by the tone of my voice, by my eyebrows going down into that, I'm mad face, and by me removing her from the physical connective space.
Mm-hmm.
And so the babies learn the flip side as well. There are things the big people like, and there are things that the big people don't like. And my care, my survival is dependent on as much of the pleasing that I can do. And so that's how it starts. And it is actually survival-based behavior that is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
You and I are here, and everybody listening is here because we were good pleasers for the big people. And so I like to start the conversation there because oftentimes so many women that I'm talking to who are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s have a lot of criticism and self-judgment for these behaviors. But what I like to say is we're all here because we're very good pleasers, and that was good.
Mm-hmm.
And it served a really important foundational survival reason. The only problem is as we grow up, we don't learn how to not please when that is what becomes more important because we've got the survival things going now. Like we don't need the people for survival anymore. And now our job is to unlearn those behaviors so that we can actually experience personal growth, having a life that feels authentic and our own, where we have the full range of choices about how we spend that time and energy and effort that really contributes to feeling like satisfied with your life. And like it really is a reflection of who you are and what you need and what you want.
Mm-hmm. Because there's a certain amount of things that we can get from others that are satisfying. And then there's a layer of life or many layers of life where getting things from others lacks satisfaction.
That's right.
Right. Okay.
And it's a misuse of our time and energy and effort because we are so plugged into what other people want and need from us. We overspend our resources there and we feel depleted and exhausted and resentful and guilty and overwhelmed because we haven't yet just figured out what's the balance of energy and time and resources for me and energy and time and resources for you, because it's not either or, it is both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And if you want to dig in on this, Sarah's going to come into Comfortable in Business and do a class and some coaching with us. So sign up for that. And I want to talk more about today how this really shows up in business, because I feel like I do a lot of coaching on people not trying to get A's and do a good job, quote unquote, in business. Like, I feel like if you're going to have a successful business, you kind of have to agree to be shitty at life in some areas. You have to decide ahead of time. I'm okay not being great at X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to show up this way because of any other reason than this is exactly what my business needs. So I'd love to just dive into all that with you.
Yes. We cannot learn to do things shittily. Is that a word? It's a word. Imperfectly, if we don't feel safe to do it that way.
Okay.
So,
truth.
Human needs, safety, connection, dignity, right? Those are just a few. But if I grow up and I am punished for not doing things perfectly or well or to the standards of other people, and that punishment can be anything from, unfortunately, like physically violent parents, or I get yelled at, or I am made to feel less than before I really am able to take care of myself. Interestingly enough, when I was growing up, we would get ice cream for our grades. Thrifty's ice cream. Anybody with me on this? We'd go to Thrifty's and we got those scoops. And so if I have a cone that has 2 scoops, and this happened, and my sister has a cone that has 3 scoops, there's something in that I have to understand. And as a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old, if I don't have an adult helping me understand, like, hey, you got 2 scoops, but does this 2 scoops really represent your, like, you trying? And it has nothing. And again, I don't even know that that was a good way to reward us. It was, my parents were doing their best, like everybody else's parents. But if I don't have a level of safety and comfort with not being perfect, it is going to feel unsafe on a very deep level. And so I can have people telling me, hey, it's okay to mess up. We don't expect you to do it perfectly. But the programming that got in there first was that it is not okay to do it and make mistakes. You will be punished. You will be called out. You will feel extremely uncomfortable, and you will have no one to help you make sense of it.
Yeah. So that makes experimenting quite hard. And it's hard to have a business if you're not in love with experiments.
Yeah. It's hard to be an entrepreneur for sure, right? Because it's nothing but experimenting. And it is hard to work for other people as well, because you're dealing with other people's expectations and meeting the bar day in and day out.
Yeah. So how do we find, I think there's layers of awareness to all this stuff. There's like the really obvious ones that we've all potentially worked through, but there's the sneaky ones. So like, what do you see as the sneaky people pleasing that's impacting entrepreneurs?
So I love this question because it's the heart of a lot of what I am working with every single day. And I actually have a list. Every time some people-pleasing behavior comes up, I just write it down because it is fascinating. We all have this idea of what a typical people pleaser is like, acquiescing, accommodating, kind of, soft and always apologetic. And yes, that is people pleasing. But it can also be people pleasing to be an overachiever. Because you're taking on too many tasks and always in that striving for perfection to gain reward, recognition. being recognized is a real human reward.
Mm-hmm.
It can look like actually being really armored up. This is how my people pleasing manifested, was like, I am so scared to be rejected by people. I'm actually just going to get real armored up and pretend like I don't need you. You can't hurt me. You can't have an effect on me. And
Mm-hmm.
inside, I'm terrified of rejection, but I actually look on the outside like a very strong person who can get all the shit done. And that's a way, that's actually a really common way for type A, really high achieving women in particular.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Another way that it shows up is not being able to ask for the help that you need.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kind of a corollary to that really armored up way of being in the world for some of us, but we just don't want to admit that we have needs, that we can't figure something out, that something is hard for us and where we really need support. We get so used to just feeling unsupported all the time that it feels dangerous to ask for help. It can feel like the kind of vulnerability that just isn't safe to have. So those are a couple of the really kind of sneaky ways it shows up.
Yeah. I feel that second one because I feel like it's a skill to know how to ask for help. And I don't feel like it's a skill that I have built up very well.
There's a really good reason.
Yeah.
Nobody teaches that,
Right.
right? Like we know all our times tables. Great. I know all my times tables. But the emotional intelligence piece isn't taught outright. And so what we are left to do is just pick up on it from the big people in our lives who were never taught.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see,
Crapshoot at best. Is
yeah,
that what you're saying?
that's right. That's right. We just pick up what we saw and we do what we learned through osmosis because, I mean, I was never taught how to ask for help, how to disappoint other people, how to have my own back, how to be vulnerable, how to have difficult conversations, all of the things that feel like kryptonite as we grow older, just never taught.
Yeah. So what's your like, I'm assuming you have this, I might be wrong. You have something that you just want everyone to learn. Like, I just wish everyone would just learn this.
If I boil people pleasing and how to not do it anymore down to its most simple form, it is this. Well, and actually, let me give a little bit of context. When you are stuck in people pleasing habits where you cannot honor what you know and need, because you don't even sometimes even know what it is, that is very uncomfortable. You're resentful, you're overwhelmed, you're feeling guilty, you're often feeling sad and disconnected or shut down, shameful. Like that's really uncomfortable to live that way.
Yep.
If you are going to not people please, we wish it would feel amazing, but it actually doesn't in the beginning. It's just a different kind of discomfort. Now I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling fearful. I'm feeling vulnerable. I'm feeling exposed. I'm risking, being rejected. So it is two different kinds of discomfort, but only one of those discomforts moves you in the direction of being free.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're just in the people pleasing, it just brings you more of the same because people know Sara will do it. We'll ask her to do it. She never says no.
Yeah. Then you're in your own cycle of getting yourself down.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So people pleasing is feeling a different kind of shitty and saying different words. That's it. Instead
Mm-hmm.
of saying, sure, I can take on that extra project, or pretending to be armored up like, no, I don't need you. I don't need any help. It's saying, you know what? Thanks for thinking of me, but I don't have time to do that. And feeling that anxious wave of like, are they going to be mad? Are they going to think I'm not a team player? Are they going to whatever? Or, you know what? I'm really afraid you're going to leave me. I'm really afraid that someday you're going to decide that you don't want to be married, don't want to be friends, don't want to work with me anymore. And just letting the other person see who you really are. It's a different kind of discomfort, but you're uncomfortable anyway. So when you want to boil it all down to its simplest form, to stop people pleasing, you say different words and feel a different kind of shitty.
But there's that point where the more times you say, thank you for asking, I don't have time right now, people stop asking.
That is right.
This is the secret.
Yeah. Yeah.
There
And
is
so
a
that's why
slowdown impact.
there is. And that's why I say only one of those experience of discomfort of not people pleasing, that moves you in the direction of more freedom,
Mm-hmm.
more choice, and less people knowing that you're the one who's going to, step in and clean it all up.
What is it about you that makes you want everyone to be free?
Oh, Caryn, this is what gets me up. I dream of women who feel free. I dream of women. It actually makes me a little emotional because I spent so many years not feeling free, not
Mm-hmm.
feeling like I could actually, like, hey, what do I even like? What do I even want? I knew my favorite color. I knew that I liked Thai food, but, like an expansive connection to myself as a powerful human, I didn't have that. And I spent so long wanting that and resenting it in other women. I would see other women acting the way that I wanted to. And my instant reaction was like, sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, great. You're some great, powerful woman. Fantastic. But that was really the clue that I wanted that. I just didn't know how to get it.
Yeah.
I didn't have any examples of it in my life showing me, teaching me though how to do that. And so when I deeply plug into a vision, it is a women's flourishing where they feel free to live whatever kind of life they truly want for reasons that they know and understand and consciously choose.
Mm-hmm.
I was a very deeply conservative religious person. I no longer want to be that person. But if other women do, I just want them to pick it for themselves on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of what we see in, the political discourse in especially the US and in some places around the world is trying to force women to play a certain role. And fuck that shit. I want women to feel the power of a connection to who they truly are and then do whatever they want with it.
So what I hear you saying is you actually can't be a woman supporting other women until you're a woman supporting yourself.
That is exactly it. That is
So no
exactly,
matter no matter how much hustle you do to
yeah.
make the whole world a better place, you got to start with yourself or the rest of the world can't feel it yet.
There's an emptiness to it. And I know that women feel that emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
There's a dissatisfaction, there's a loneliness in it because it's great to show up for other women, right? And that's such an important part of what I see so many women doing now, helping in their businesses, no matter what they sell or do.
But you can feel the edges of it. When people haven't done this, you feel the edge of, you feel where the support falls off. Like, I'm going to be with you here until right over there. And
Yeah.
then I'm going to back away from
Yeah.
whatever it is you've got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know how to support myself and you at the same time. And I
Yeah.
run out of resources. Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And what about like this is a thing that feels like a privilege to do, like
Yeah.
to get to do this work. So can we talk a little bit about like if you don't have the bandwidth for it, how is that okay? And like what what do you look out for when it is time to do this work? Because I know that like if you're underwater, you don't get to do this kind of stuff. But when you are
Yeah.
above water, you can. So just talk to us a little bit about how that differs and what's there.
I'm really grateful you brought that up because it is absolutely a factor. And I just want to name you can be underwater for a lot of different reasons. I have just spent the last, it feels like 18 months on the perimenopause roller coaster, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to get off, but it's not my time yet. And
It's its own kind of drowning.
yeah. And so for a lot of different reasons, financial strain of relationships, strain of being the sandwich generation of like taking
Mm-hmm.
care of older parents, health reasons, cultural reasons, political reasons. There's so many layers to to the stresses and pressures that we each feel. And here's what I can say. Number one, the most important thing that we do is to tell the truth, even if it's just to ourselves. And maybe the truth sounds like, I don't want this anymore. I don't know what else to do yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm figuring out what else to do yet, next. But I know I don't want this. I know I deserve better. I know I want more. And just to let the truth of that land for you. I was a 43-year-old woman still going to church because I was terrified to disappoint my parents. But what happened is I began to tell myself the truth about what I was hearing, about the way that it was damaging in this very conservative religious tradition, my children, one of whom had come out to me. And I began to just say, I know this isn't going to work long term. I don't know what's next, but I know it's not going to work long term. And that was terrifying for me, just that truth. And so before I did anything about it that was public, I told myself the truth first. That's part of it. Second of all, or another option, begin to pay attention to, I think the most important emotions for women are anger, envy, and dread. Because
totally, I agree.
Those three emotions tell you, envy tells you what you want, but you don't know how to get yet. And anger and dread both tell you where you are not boundaried enough yet, and where your body is asking you to take better care. And it doesn't even matter if you can't resolve it yet. But paying attention to those emotions are game changers, especially because as women, we are taught that those emotions are bad. And I think they can be our greatest teachers.
They're light posts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everything you're describing makes you sound so dangerous.
I know.
Right? Like if you think about it, like no wonder people are afraid of women.
Yeah, no wonder the most common comment I get from men on my podcast episodes and the things are like, yeah, but you're wrong. Have you ever considered that you're just wrong about this? They just, yeah. And actually, some women too, because women do a good job. We do a great job of supporting other women, but we also do a good job of pulling other women back down into our quote unquote place because we're afraid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, you're really talking a lot about truth telling. And if we tell the truth to ourselves, like what is there to fear? I mean, ultimately, it could change your entire life, like it did for you, right?
Yeah.
To tell yourself the truth. But is there anything wrong with that?
I also think it's very normal to be afraid of that. There was a long period of time when I wondered if my marriage would survive. It did. There was a long time when I worried about friendships surviving. Most of them didn't. But as I told myself the truth, and as I just leaned in just to literally sometimes it was the next 24 hours. This is what needs to happen just for the next 24 hours. It was the thing that built my capacity to hold more, disappointing more people, having more difficult conversations, receiving love and support from other people in a way that I didn't allow myself to receive before. It literally, I mean, a gym metaphor is very apt here. Nobody goes to the gym on day one and picks up 50-pound dumbbells. You're going to hurt yourself. It's going to be too much. You start with the fives. And and for most of us, the fives are just telling ourselves the truth. You start with the fives, and then the fives become like, all right, okay, I'm getting the hang of this. And actually, this feels easy now. I go to the 10. I always tell my clients, we're going to start with the least risky situations first. I did not go to my parents and say, hey, guess what? I don't want to be a part of this church anymore. Peace out. Right. That felt
That
terrifying.
was college level.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I first admitted it to myself and then to my husband,
Mm-hmm.
then to a few close friends who I knew would be softer, or I hoped would be softer landing places. And I felt the confidence of like, I did it. I did it. I told the truth to another person. It
Mm-hmm.
felt terrifying, but also exhilarating. And so as I moved up from the 5 to the 10 to the 15 to the 20 pounds, then I could sit down with my parents and handle breaking their hearts in a way that I knew was going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
but I could hold it with love for me and love for them. And I could say, this makes so much sense. I really understand how disappointed and sad and fearful you are. And I'm not changing my mind. And this is what I need to do for me.
It's so loving.
It felt like the most loving thing in the world, which is so ironic
Mm-hmm.
because what we're taught is that conflict is bad, should be avoided at all costs, right? Especially in families of origin. We just didn't talk about it. Like we just pretended
Right.
things weren't happening. And that's really common for a lot of people. But with an expanded capacity that really started with just me sitting in that church pew and saying, I don't want this anymore. I have no idea what I'm going to do next, but I know I don't want this.
Mm-hmm.
Progressed over time and experiences where I learned to hold bigger and bigger and bigger amounts of discomfort to sitting with them and being able to have it be really a loving experience.
Yeah. Because I could understand where some people might have that awareness and then use their truth as a weapon and just burn their whole life down and leave everything in the dust. Like that's one way to do it.
That is.
Or,
Yeah.
yeah, or you can do this way. Like you got options.
Yeah. And some people, honestly, when you are not interested in keeping the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
it feels good to burn it down. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It can feel, because again, that's another thing women are taught to never ever do. You got to be nice, you got to be kind, you have to be, considerate of others' feelings, don't rock the boat. It can feel really good to rock the fucking boat.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's a relationship that you want to continue, then there are some different considerations.
Yeah. I am thinking about just things that I've seen come up coaching business owners. And one of them is people pleasing their way into other people's goals. Like people coming to me saying, I just want to hit 100K. And I'll be like, well, why? And they're like, well, because I think I'm supposed to. I'm like, well, you don't have to do anything. Like this is you could make $1,000 a month for the rest of your life. And that might be the perfect business for you. I don't know until I get to know you. But I mean, 100K is just someone else's goal, right? We don't have to people please our way there or business model or scaling or any of those things. So, yeah, it's everywhere, the people pleasing.
Yeah, because as humans, pack animals, mammals, we will always need to belong to groups. That's never going away, and it's good. The
Mm-hmm.
problem isn't belonging too much, it's that we don't belong enough to ourselves. And so
Yeah.
if I hit that 100K, it's an outward marker of some kind of success that gets me belonging in this group or is some kind of a
Mm-hmm.
reward. So, when I talk to women about not people pleasing, this is always interesting, but I totally get it. If everybody else is, up here with their expectations, their needs, their wants from you, and you're way down here, this is a typical like people pleasing dynamic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about not people pleasing anymore, people think I mean the swap or the inverse of that, where only my needs matter and I'm selfish and
Mm.
I always put myself first and everybody else can just fuck off. And we have been so deeply programmed to not be that way that feels extremely uncomfortable. But what I'm talking about is equity in relationships where my needs matter just as much as yours. Your expectations in our relationship matter just as much as mine. And so that's the goal, is to find that place where sometimes I choose me and my goals for reasons that I know and that I like. And sometimes I choose you because we are mammals, humans who need both. It's not one or the other.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. Do you have like a challenge or a piece of homework or an inquiry to leave people with as they're thinking about this stuff?
Yes. One of my favorite tools is mental rehearsal. It is a deeply magical practice when we can't really like lay out the steps. Sometimes we have to work backward. So if I want to be a woman who feels deeply at home in her body, let's just say, let's use it, that as an example, because it's so pervasive that we're so inundated that our bodies need to look and feel a certain way for other people. If I want to be a woman and I use the power of my mental imagination to create an image, I'm walking down the street and how do I feel in my body? I feel connected. I can feel myself. My attention isn't out at the people watching my body, but I am in my body and I feel it moving. I feel places where it's strong. I feel my feet on the ground. And I notice other people looking at me, maybe I see my mind going to like, do they like what I'm wearing? Are they thinking I'm fat? Like I see all that and it's fine, but I'm able to let it go. Like that's really how I want to be. And I let that movie play a couple of different times. I actually can create that feeling in my body. And then that gives me a clue. What do I have to do to hang on to that? What do I have to start thinking? What do I have to stop thinking? And it will often give me the first step. So that can apply to any subject. If I want to be someone who is really at home in my business, who I feel this equity in my relationship with my clients, what does it feel like? What does it look like? What am I saying? What am I doing differently? And that's like the end goal. What's just the first step in that direction? And that's why coaching is so powerful, because we have a person outside of us helping us create that vision, but it's actually something that you can do on your own. And it can be, so I play these movies for myself all the time, all the time. I went through a period in my business where I felt myself just getting really graspy and working hard and feeling like I really need that person to say yes to me, or I really need this opportunity to work out for me. It felt gross and terrible and just really anxious all the time. And so I had this phrase that I heard someone say, what is for me will find me. It really landed for me. And so I have a vision that I play for myself of me being in that energy. And I was really able to shift out of the graspiness into this openness where I still need to work, right? I can't just sit in my office. What is for me will find me. I'm over here. Right? There's things I need to do. But that the magic of mental rehearsal is that it builds your capacity, it builds your resilience, and it builds your self-trust. And you can do it with positive things and with things that feel scary. You can imagine yourself having the conversation with the client where they're not paying on time like they said they would. Hey, I'd like to address the way payments are coming in with you. Like maybe you're not ready to have that conversation right off. Mentally rehearse it. What are you saying? What are you feeling? What are you doing? And you can get the same result: increase capacity, increase resilience, increase self-trust.
Yeah. Yeah. And as far as your mind's concerned, you've already done it. You're creating experience in doing that, which is so fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. Where do people find you if they want to hear you more? If they're like, I need more of that lady in my life.
Oh, I would love to have more of them in my life as well. I have a podcast. It's called the Ex Good Girl Podcast.
Fantastic.
I am online on Facebook. I have a free Facebook group that I show up in and do some free coaching and community building. I'm really interested in a community of women who know how to be connected to themselves and to others. And so those are two of the places. One, if you want to just listen to me, and the other, if you want to interact with me.
Cool. That's fun. Freedom community.
Love it. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for being here and for illuminating what is around, but sometimes we forget can be running parts of us.
I love this conversation. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, Sara, for being here. We'll put her links in the show note. We'll also put the link to join Comfortable in Business in the notes too, because Sara's going to come in later this month and do a little training with us. She's actually going to do the skill building with us of how to disappoint people. So if you want to come in and do that, I would love to have you. And to all of you who had some feels on that episode, maybe had some realizations, I just want to say good for you for listening. And you're not alone. All right. If someone you know needs to hear this episode, make sure you share it with them. Thank you for being here.